Hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Aaron Viles is out for the evening, and I will be taking his place tonight. Kimberly Cecil Jones coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you. Make sure that you share, and that you like this episode, because we always fill you up with information, news that you can use. And then also, not only that, this week we are going to be covering some dumb bills being shared by the Kentucky GOP. Are you surprised about Frankfurt? No, you are not. These are big, important issues like ending diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in addition to that, educational programs and recasting January the 6th insurrectionists as innocent bystanders. Please. Then we'll check in with friends of the show, Kelsey Coots, who we love very much, of the ACLU's Reproductive Freedom Campaign, to hear what they plan to do about the Kentucky GOP's seemingly successful campaign to completely end abortion access. Then we'll close with our call to action, of course. But first, are you ready? Are you ready to turn Kentucky purple? Right. You take a whole lot of red, you put some blue in there, and the color that you'll get, you remember the color wheel, you'll get purple. So we're still riding high on the election of our wonderful, great, amazing governor, Andy Beshear. But we can't lose sight of the fact that we sent Andy back to the governor's mansion in Frankfurt to be confronted and confounded by the GOP, as usual. The super duper majority in the legislature will work to do in our state to win better electoral outcomes for our commonwealth. We hope that you support Progress Kentucky. We do so very much. Our efforts do include making a contribution right now, and our efforts do include education, political response. We do so much, and especially this show right here, it helps supports us, Kernels of Truth. If you don't know what that is, we're all Kentucky Kernels talking about the latest, greatest political news in Kentucky. But you saw on the screen, it'll be in the comments as well, where you can go to our Act Blue to help turn Kentucky purple. Every amount helps. $5, $25, $50, $100, $500. Look, it's all welcomed and it all adds up. So while you're thinking about how much you're going to be giving us, and I know it's going to be a lot, so it's time to check in with our co-host and let us know who and where you are and what are you working for in 2024. Do you have some changes that you're planning on making? Do you have a resolution you're committed to and willing to share publicly? Who doesn't love a little group accountability? Oh, and you there on the internet, I mean you too. I want to see what you're working on this year. Feel free to put it in the chat while we're sharing ours. So first of all, I'm going to ask Doug Price, affectionately I call him Dougie Fresh. What's going on today, Dougie Fresh?
Hey, Kimberly Cecil Jones. I'm going to do a repeat of what I said last week. I attended a meeting today, the Kentucky Public Retirees Organization, of which I'm a member, the Bluegrass East chapter. We had a lobbyist speaker, and he suggested not to burn bridges with legislators that you disagree with. So this further reinforces my resolution to not burn bridges. I remain resolute on this pledge. Chris, what about you?
That's a good one. We don't want to make everybody mad, but so I'm here in Berea, Kentucky, and in terms of my view on things at the moment is not everything is a partisan matter. That can lead into some of the stories later, and like not every election needs a D or an R. And in fact, I would argue that most don't need it. But We should be voting for the people and their positions, and that's not always representative of the D and the R beside their name on the ballot. But yeah. Back to you,
Okay.
Kim.
Thank you. So I'm going to just say again, once again, I'm in great Louisville, Kentucky, which always brings the votes, right? And also right here in Jefferson County. And so, I kind of had a resolution, and then like I'm already over it. Like I couldn't even do it for I couldn't even do it for a few days. But I'm going to say this. I am definitely going to take my time and think about love again.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. I met my long lost love. I loved him ever since 12 years old. Can you imagine that, as old as I am now? But, being vulnerable, which is hard, and being honest and truthful, right? And something that the GOP never does is being honest and truthful. So, I think I'm ready now for Mr. Doug Price. Price is Right.
This segment is a Doug Price is Right. If you didn't get the message there, filled with facts and opinion. I'm introducing a new segment that I plan to mention periodically on COT while the 2024 General Assembly is in session. Let's call the segment The Worst Legislation Introduced. I have 3 tonight, and I encourage listeners to mention any bills that you think are deserving to be on this worst legislation list. Message us on Facebook or post it while you're watching. Perhaps toward the end of the session, we will circulate a survey to ask our listeners to vote on the worst of the worst. So let me start with a House resolution, number 50, sponsored by Senator, I said House, I guess it would be a Senate resolution, sponsored by Senator Lindsey Titchener. This resolution states it acknowledges the events of January 6, 2021 at the United States Capitol, and recognizing the citizens who have been held without due process. The resolution has several whereases noted, but essentially states the people were there, they assembled peacefully, they meant no harm, just expressing their displeasure with the outcome of the election. Oh, and indicating that the election was fixed, too. Also, this indicates, the resolution indicates that people are now being held with no bail and no charges filed against them. All of this is patently false. I will note that no other legislators have co-sponsored this dribble. People who entered the Capitol, damaging, looting, and assaulting officers have been arrested, charged, been processed through the judicial system, and sentenced to jail and or fines. What about Kentuckians? According to a recent Courier Journal article, at least 24 Kentuckians have been charged for having participated in the January 6th insurrection. Many have been tried and sentenced, and there are several who have not been tried, but I could find no record of any who were being held in jail with no bail. Meanwhile, the Republican Party of Kentucky's State Central Committee approved a resolution in support of Senator Titchener's filing. Bobby Coleman, who is the chair of the Hardin County GOP, told the Lexington Herald-Leader the vote was tight. The governing body of the Republican Party of Kentucky adopted the resolution by a vote of 34 to 32. I took a look at Mrs. Coleman's Facebook page, and as you might imagine, she is a Trumper and a conspiracy theorist. She has been quoted as saying that over 200 FBI employees infiltrated the January 6th event and apparently caused the riots. Lastly, on the same day of the resolution passing, the Republican Party of Kentucky tweeted, "Happy Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Let's show our gratitude to the officers who work tirelessly to protect and serve our communities." The other bill I want to talk about is one that is sponsored by Senator Gary Boswell of Owensboro. Under SB 59, Boswell wants to allow Kentuckians to violate federal law by being able to kill certain types of hawks that are federally protected. Did the good senator contact Kentucky Fish and Wildlife to get an opinion? Of course not. Here is his logic for filing the bill. In a Facebook post, he said one constituent reported his cat was taken away by a hawk in his front yard in the city of Owensboro in front of his young son. What if his constituent had their child killed in school by someone carrying a gun? Would he then offer legislative action or the typical thoughts and prayers? Lastly, this caring senator was a strong proponent of SB 150, the anti-trans bill. What if he is faced with a constituent whose trans child committed suicide? Again, thoughts and prayers or actions? Stay tuned for future bad bills, but yesterday I want to mention I attended a meeting with other progressive orgs, and the amount of horrible bills being proposed is breathtaking and concerning, including SB 93, which is an effort to ban DEI in public schools, HB 5, which I refer to as the Incarcerate More People Act. SB 65 is one to watch. It has some nebulous language in it. HB 7 allows it's the Autonomous Vehicle Act. Visualize tractor trailer trucks, 18-wheelers, rolling down the road with driverless. And HB 48 and 49, which allows medical providers to deny service based upon their conscience. HB 141, with 16 co-sponsors, removes fluoridation from water. I think dentists might think that's not wise. HB 149 restricts the ability of the governor to send Kentucky National Guard troops outside of the Commonwealth. If there's a real bad tornado or something like that, and we need to send help out there, the legislature apparently wants to be able to do that. And HB 208 is a constitutional amendment to allow public education dollars to be received by private and church schools. Oh me, I'm going to end this with, just let us know when you find a horrible bill. Back to you, Kimberly.
Let you know when we can find a horrible bill. Is that what you said?
Yeah, right.
I could find many of them, but let me pick out one that possibly may affect me personally. And it is the thought and the process of taking diversity and equity and inclusion out of our universities right here in Kentucky. Kentucky, even though it is a red state, very racist state, most of the state is. But I want to say that we have been known for our institutions of learning. We've been known and even mimicked in other universities for allowing students here in Kentucky when they go to universities to express themselves, learn, grow, and be prepared for the big bad world ahead. So, what I'm concerned about exactly, Doug, is what the people were concerned about in Florida. And in Florida, that was about um, the Divine Nine. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what that is, the Divine Nine are the nine Greek sororities and fraternities. Okay. And actually, with that, I am AKA. I do belong to a sorority, and they say they want to get away from anything racial, anything dealing with what gender you are. So I don't know how that's going to work. It's pretty scary, though. It's pretty scary. Are they going to make it so, Doug, that we can't do what we do on college campuses here in Kentucky?
It's really hard to understand. I found a reaction to that particular bill, and I want to read that. When you see elected leaders demonizing educators and weaponizing education, it's a 5-alarm fire for democracy. That was a quote from Irene Mulvey, who is the president of the American Association of Universities Professors. And she also said, it is important to understand that when governors attack DEI efforts, they completely mischaracterize them to create a straw man demon that they now have to do away with. That seems to be, the case. I do want to mention, if it's okay, I do want to mention.
Hold on. You got to wait for me to say it's okay or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
You're still my friend. It's okay.
All right.
I love Dougie Fresh.
I love getting told what to do, so I'm cool. It's all cool. Kentucky State Senator David Yates, a Democrat from Louisville, he held a press conference just this morning, I believe, to announce that he will be filing a bill to add exceptions to the state's total ban on abortions. The bill is called Hadley's Law. You all may remember the young lady, Hadley Duval, who was featured in Governor Beshear's campaign ad, telling her about her experience being raped and impregnated by her stepfather. She spoke at the press conference saying she wants to give voice to victims of sexual abuse. Senator Yates said that the bill is crafted to be narrow in its scope in order to get the broadest support possible. He noted that numerous Republicans had told him that they support the bill in concept, but of course he's not sure how they will vote, or maybe how they will be told to vote by the leadership in both the House and the Senate. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of that.
Most definitely. I'm going to piggyback on what you're saying as well, Doug, that David Yates, I love him. He is such a great guy. He sat at the table with us at the Wendell Ford dinner, and he was absolutely amazing. He's funny too. He's real funny too. So I'm going to segue just a little bit, but I want to kind of come back around to that until we have our guest up and loaded. But Doug, there is something that's happening with Kentucky families, and my heart truly goes out to them. And it's getting so hard because right here in Louisville, UPS laid off a bunch of people. Okay. Ford was going to lay off a bunch of people, but they kind of smoothed that over. But there's a lot of things going on right here in Jefferson County. And, there's an array of jobs, but are they jobs that's going to, maintain their households, right? Our own legislators, not mine, but the other ones in there, right? They made sure to gut unemployment. So how are you supposed to live? Doug, how are you supposed to pay your bills? It's like the GOP, the Republicans, it's like they always want us dumb, sick, and broke.
And seemingly, they look at things that they consider a handout as opposed to looking at it as a step up, something to help people. I think I may have. I know we were talking about Jefferson County, but it made me think about something I talked about, I think last week, in Fayette County, talking about people who are getting possibly getting evicted this time of the year. They have no place to go because the shelters are full, and we're looking at a legislature that's in session, and they have, I don't know, $3.5 million in the rainy day fund that could be put to good use, but it seemingly they're looking at the bills that they can attempt to pass that are just bad bills. Uh, they're going to be promoting a constitutional amendment to allow for private and church schools to get public funding, um, and they're going to try to paint that as something pretty, but it's not pretty. It's another one of those bad bills. But I think that is one that the people of the Commonwealth will vote down.
This is why I love Dougie Fresh, because he's such a policy wonk. I mean, like, he knows about the bills, he know what they mean, what it can do if it passed, what we might need to do to make sure that it doesn't pass. So, I always go to him and say, "Hey, Doug, right?" So the thing about it is, we're going to have more people that may be cold this continuance of winter. We may have people that are hungry, um, more so. And then not only that, I want to say this as well. Just right here in Jefferson County, I see more homeless people than what I've ever seen before. And it's like a really big challenge here in Louisville because, like, they got tents everywhere. It doesn't even matter where it is. The more affluent areas, the downtown areas, by the racetrack, by Churchill Downs. I mean, everywhere. And I would like to know what could happen to make that be something different. But didn't they want to vote on something, Doug, where it came to um, something about people camping in Kentucky, that they could honestly get arrested?
Yes, I think there's something, I can't call the exact bill number, but I believe there is something. It may just be uh, particular to Louisville, but talking about arresting people, and again, not giving them a hand up, uh, holding them down, I guess.
Because what are they going to do? Just like lock up a lot of homeless people? What is that going to do except clog the already slow and chaotic justice system that we already have in place? So something needs to be done. If I won the lottery, Doug, after I gave you all, like, I don't know, buy you a new house or something, I think I would make like a tent city for the homeless here in Jefferson County. And it depends upon how I win. I might could do it all over the state. But it could be wishful thinking, but you never know, right? I got to play to win, and I need to start playing, I think. But there was something else a good news that I would like to say to parents. Um, there's going to be a program for low income households for their children, and they will receive $40 each month for each eligible school age child, up to $120 to buy groceries, beginning in the summer of 2024. The cash will come via electronic benefit transfer, often called the EBT card, and will be added to food assisted debit cards. So I think like that is something that's much needed, because we don't think about this very often, but there are a lot of children in this state, okay? A lot of children in this state that actually they don't eat after school, or they don't have enough to eat during the summers. So this could be a great program, I think. And Mr. Chris Priest is with us. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us, Chris, about the new
Sure.
program?
Sorry, I popped away. I think my computer just died, like maybe legit died.
No,
Oh no.
I hope not.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, so I saw this article and was super excited. And within the article, it talked about that there are 34 states taking advantage of this, and Kentucky is one of them, thankfully. And I'm a little disappointed that it's not all 50 states and every territory and everything, because our kids are our most important resource, and making sure that they have the nutrition and education and everything else that they need is paramount to making sure that we have a good functioning society in the future. And also, just general good deeds of taking care of humans, especially tiny ones that don't have control over their own lives yet. There's a lot of food insecurity and housing insecurity out there, and quite a bit in Kentucky, and so making sure that these kids have more access to food is essential. There's a lot of schools that are that have like 100% free lunch, and
Hold on, Chris. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I just did see a comment from Aaron Viles come up on the screen.
Let me look. I'm on my phone now, so I can't see. Will Kraft chocolate bars be eligible?
That's
Maybe.
okay. We love you, Aaron. We love you anyway. Why you sneaking, looking at what we're doing? Oh, he's in the airport.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay.
That's what they all
Whatever.
say.
Yeah.
You can see my Kraft chocolate making equipment behind me. So yeah.
Some good stuff.
Now you are a school teacher, right?
Yeah. I teach high school chemistry at Berea Community, and and a Kraft chocolate maker on the side, I guess now.
So, I love our next guest. I really do. They do so much for progressive change for everyone. I think their motto is always leave no one behind, like the leave no child behind. I believe Kesley Coots is like leave no one behind. And I really, really admire Kelsey. So Kesley Coots is with the Blue Dot Consulting and ACLU's Reproductive Freedom campaign. It's an organizing effort she's supporting that's focused on fighting for abortion rights right here in Kentucky. I'd like to introduce to everyone Miss Kesley Coots.
Woo!
Good friend of the show. Yes, good friend. I'm so happy to see you. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me on again. I think Aaron said I might be one of the most repeat folks on the show, but I'm happy to be back and for you all to be uplifting what we're working on.
You're always working on situations that will help so many people. So, Kelsey, you've been involved with progressive politics in the bluegrass for quite some time. You're a well-known, recognizable name in the state of Kentucky, okay?
Thank
And
you.
The support that you focused on fighting for abortion rights right here in Kentucky is commendable. So, you have also been very, very instrumental in leading the fight against AMD2s, which was an effort by, did I say that right? AMD2s? Did I say that right?
Yeah, Amendment 2.
Okay. Whew. I need a dictionary.
I think you just
Okay.
abbreviated it.
Thanks. Which was an effort by the Kentucky GOP supermajority to remove any and all state constitutional protections for abortion. Tell us about the work that you're doing, ACLU's Reproductive Freedom Campaign, and how might that be related to your successful campaign to fight Amendment 2? I'm just afraid, Kelsey, that we're going to go back to, old time remedies to abort a child, or we're going to go back to back alley abortions. I have a very, very close friend of mine. Her sister died many, many, many years ago, but it
Wow.
was a back alley abortion. She hemorrhaged to death.
Wow.
So, what are some of the things that you've been doing?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing this up so we can highlight it. The ACLU of Kentucky, of course, has many issue areas that they work on, but one is their campaign is the Reproductive Freedom Project, and so that has been something that has been worked on for a while. But this year we have sort of relaunched the way that we've talked about it. In an effort to bring a lot of folks over who got involved in that Amendment 2 work to say, hey, the work is continuing, even though that campaign is over. And so, of course, we are going to fight to restore abortion access, but we're also in the immediate working on harm reduction strategies. So whenever you hear the Reproductive Freedom Project in relation to the ACLU, of course, like I said, we're working on expanding abortion access, but other things that are going to help folks in a forced birth state or a forced pregnancy state, as they say. And so those things are like paid leave or other things to work on maternal and infant health. And so this legislative session, we're bringing folks together and really focused on, instead of spreading ourselves really thin, focused on what are some wins that we can get. And again, primarily those are related to paid family leave and maternal health.
Well, I know that Doug and Chris have just waiting because, I could take up all the time, just you and I, right? Just us girls talking. So I'm going to allow Chris to ask you a question now. Reluctantly, okay? Reluctantly.
So we know that you have another have a show also that's really awesome. I've been on there. You guys do a great job. And what is your focus going into this legislative session for your show and just in general for you personally?
Well, like I said, for what we're focusing on with the Reproductive Freedom Project, we are really focusing on in the immediate paid leave. And so we know that Kentucky families should not have to choose between a paycheck and caring for their family. And a lack of paid leave really has devastating consequences, not just for Kentucky families, but for the state's public health and economy. And so we're looking to expand paid family leave in a variety of ways. What do you think? Like, let's headline, like, what do we want? Of course, we want more Kentuckians to have access to paid family and medical leave. And there are a couple, things that are sort of our, line in the sand related to that. But we do right now are working to support HB 179, which is actually Representative Heveron's bill. That is essentially actually like an insurance bill, but it is one that allows for insurance regulators to recognize paid family leave as like an insurance product. So ultimately, employers could build that into things to offer. So while it's not a mandate that all employers, have to offer paid family leave, and of course, doesn't go far enough and all of those things, it is a step forward in providing potentially folks more access to paid family leave. So that's one. And of course, I could keep talking, but that's one that passed out of committee today, actually.
That's a really interesting avenue for that.
Yeah. Yep. And then, maternal health, there's yesterday, I think in the Courier Journal or Kentucky Lantern one, I forget where I read it, but they talked about some pieces of legislation to watch. And one is what's kind of being referred to as the Momnibus bill. And that is a big maternal health bill that rolls in a lot of policies, many that a lot of Democratic women have championed over the years, right? But this one is being carried by another legislator. It's not been filed yet, but in the United States, we have like the highest maternal mortality rates among wealthy nations, and Kentucky is like has some of the worst birth outcomes in the U.S. But even when you look at our those outcomes, Black Kentuckians are especially at risk. They're 4 times, I believe, more likely to die during or after childbirth than white counterparts. And so the maternal health focus is really how can we do things to support folks to better those outcomes, to combat those abysmal, maternal health outcomes. So, and so there's many things that address, poverty or socioeconomic factors and, what have you.
Doug, I know you got a question.
Yeah, I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction. I looked at your bio, Blue Dot Consulting. In a frame of reference too, I became acquainted with Kelsey, working with CAVE and the Kentucky Future Project. And I'm not blowing smoke. She is an amazing person and so intelligent and so on top of things. But I noted that your partner in Blue Dot is also your partner in life.
Yes.
And you were a school teacher. You ran for office. You are an amazing story. But how do you balance bringing home work? You work together. You live together.
A lot of togetherness.
There's a lot of togetherness. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the good thing is we sort of each have our lanes, in the business. And so that's definitely helped. But I just feel so lucky, honestly, to get to do mission-driven work, that I feel called to do. And I think that he feels the same way. And so it doesn't always feel like work, whenever you wake up and you're doing something that you love, which, like I said, we are very grateful to be doing, and for folks to believe in working alongside us to give us the ability to do that full time. And so we found our groove, definitely. And we work with candidates, caucuses, and causes. And I really, really enjoy all the work that we do. But over the last year, have gotten really to jump into a lot of the causes work, to work with advocacy organizations. And so, of course, that means electoral organizing in the way that Doug, you and I met, but also, how can we organize to get legislative wins, and how can we build infrastructure in the long term that can help us get these legislative wins or help us get these electoral wins that don't necessarily just are stood up for a campaign cycle and then go away with a specific candidate. In a state like Kentucky, it's not really, I always say it's not an either or strategy, because, we're not looking for a specific candidate to come in and just all of a sudden turn the tide. It's, we have the power and we have to put the boots on the ground, and we have to do that long-term infrastructure building work. And I just feel lucky to get to be able to do that. So.
Well, they picked the right one. I just have one more question for you, Kelsey. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's concerning our Louisville Senator David Yates has introduced a Hadley law to add rape and incest exemptions to our bans. Okay, is that an effective approach, and will it move forward in the Republican supermajority? That's what I would really like to know.
Yeah. So yesterday he filed, you saw with Hadley, there's intentions to file the Hadley's Law. And so while, of course, there's many folks, myself included, who know that doesn't go far enough. I do not necessarily think that it has a realistic chance to be passed. However, we do want to continue to call attention to that bill because of what it means for abortion in terms of being talked about. Most of the folks, it has been very clear with Amendment 2 and with the reelection of Governor Beshear that abortion is a winning issue for Kentuckians. And although, there's a large spectrum of folks who voted no in 2022 and a large, a very wide spectrum of folks who voted for Governor Beshear, but we can't ignore the fact that abortion was one of those reasons, right? That they sort of voted our way, if you will. And so while I don't think that bill is going to be one that advances, continuing to call attention to it allows us to continue talking about abortion, which, educates folks on the issue, but also will keep it in the news cycle and political narrative. And so the Republican extremists, in particular, they won't be able to sort of hide from that part of their record. And so, again, no, I do not think that it will be necessarily something that is heard, but do I encourage folks to contact their legislators and say, hey, we want this to have a hearing? Yes, I do believe that we should continue talking about it.
Doug, Chris.
Yeah, I want to jump in and kind of tie in a couple of things that you just talked about. You have to look at the long game.
Yeah.
When Progress Kentucky was formed, we decided that we wanted to turn Kentucky purple. We knew that we were so solid red that going from red to blue is something that is just not going to happen. But you have to be in for the long haul. And what you just said basically kind of dovetails right with that, in that, you take baby steps, but you have to make those baby steps or you don't get anywhere.
Right.
So the work that you and others like you are doing are so important. I get very impatient and I want things done. I want things done now. And, but the work that you're doing and others like you are doing are very, very important.
It's a lifetime fight. That's what we always say. And so it's like, yes, there is that end date and we're working from cycle to cycle, but with the big picture in mind, it makes it, it's like there are real consequences. That's why Hadley's story is so important, right? It's easy to get pulled into, I think, the intrigue of politics and the, who's winning, or, who wins, who loses, and who gets credit, as I like to say. But it is, there's human consequences to the laws that they pass, and continuously talking about those things and building in the off years is important, not only to pass legislation, but also because Kentuckians deserve a choice in their elections, and they deserve to hear competing messaging, no matter if it's a plus, 30R district or not. And so it's lifetime work, but happy to be doing it alongside you all.
Oh, that was so sweet, Kelsey. That was so sweet. You know what? Yeah, you're a great person. You really do. You said you called to that. Yeah, you are truly called. You have to be called to certain things in your lifetime to really excel and be passionate and committed. When everyone else says it won't happen, when you can hang in there and continue on, you have to be called to that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just wake up like that. Like, this was what you were supposed to be doing at this moment, this second, this day. So we really appreciate you. But also, our own Progress Kentucky's own Shelly Skis has been involved in the grassroots volunteer effort.
Yes.
So how can other people join the campaign? That's what we want to know. How can we help?
Shelly is a super vol. So we started in the end of October, our local action team meetings. And so what those are is we're bringing folks together who care about these issues to say, hey, look, we want to build proactive organizing strategy alongside you. And of course, there's going to be rapid response situations with the legislature, but how can we get more local and put pressure on legislators and do that work? And so we launched local action teams, and Shelly has been a part of that. We actually had our third meeting tonight, and I had a lot of newcomers. And so if anybody would like to get involved with the Reproductive Freedom Project work, I would invite you to join our Facebook group. It is a group that you will tell us like what issues you care about, to be able to join. If you just Google, or not Google, go on Facebook search and do Reproductive Freedom Project, ACLU, then it should come up. You can join that. And then, of course, if you join or go to Mobilize and and look there. There are all of the ACLU's events, and we have lobby days and other local action team meetings to join. But there are multiple entry points, whether you can go to Frankfurt and lobby or you just want to join our community on Facebook. But that is the place that will be streamlining communications to do calls to action and really activate folks around these specific focuses of paid leave, maternal health, and abortion.
And what is that Facebook group again?
Reproductive Freedom Project, ACLU of Kentucky.
Okay. So we'll be calling you back to come on here again.
Yes. Happy to do it, but I appreciate you all lifting up this cause, but other causes that you do from week to week.
Thank you so much, Kelsey, for everything that you do. We love having you on the show. She needs to be another co-host on here. I know. How can I be so bold? Kelsey, please share this. Please share this out on all your social media platforms. People really, really need to know this information, and we need everybody, just sharing so the information can get out.
All
And we
right.
appreciate you. Keep doing it, girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for being here.
Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Love Kelsey. You know that she is so highly intelligent. She's just a powerhouse in this state. I will say that most definitely. Now, she said, bye, y'all. Thanks for having me on. She put that in the private chat. See, she's a doll. She's a doll baby. So the call to action today is please support the Reproductive Freedom Campaign that Kelsey talked about today. Sign up today and join the Abortion Access Lobby Day in Frankfurt, which will be Wednesday, January the 31st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Make sure that you get involved. I know everybody's kind of like worn out from making sure that Andy wins. I got you. I understand, most definitely. But you know what? We'll rest at another time. We have to get busy. This is so incredibly, crucially important for all Kentuckians. Also, I guess I'm going to close it out. But before I close it out, you guys, I just want to say, Dougie Fresh, once again, I always love your content. You're always right on point. It's hard to really come up with questions for you because it's so. Am I telling the truth, Chris? He's so thorough. It's like you can't even ask questions.
Yeah, he's on it. He tries to cover every angle. It's the Dougie Price is right.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that. And Chris Priest, I call you Superman. So even with the little baby in the house and your wife, you still get up and you come on this show and you deal with kids all day, younger folks, younger than us. And that's much to be commended as well. So I'm going to give you all the disclaimer at first here to let you know that Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project, Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, otherwise known as CAVE, and we are also extremely proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Next week, we'll be joined by another wonderful guest. And we be having the guest on here. You like this show. You got to share it. Make sure you like it. Okay. And this was a production of this episode today, episode 144. Okay. Was by our great and wonderful Nate Orshan, who also wrote and performs our theme songs. You can find more information about him and music at, everybody say it with me, NATO Songs, Nato Songs. And if you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, audio podcast, and our show notes are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. And if you do listen to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening right now. Logo and some graphic content was provided by Couchfire Media. You can go check them out at couchfiremedia.com. So you all know what I'm going to say. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. You made it. Okay. You made it this far. You only got a couple more days until you can enjoy the weekend. But do something nice for somebody, right? Not only will it make them feel good, it'll make you feel great. So same bat channel, bat time next week. Oh, we'll see you then. So have a great rest of your week.